to the Tuesday, December 7th meeting of the Oxford Board of Selectmen. I'll call this meeting to order. First item on our agenda is reorganization of the board. Norman, yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment here, and thank you for putting this on the agenda, Mr. Chairman. Being new to the board, there's been a lot of talk about, and some people even implied that it's mandatory that we reorganize after an election. And I looked through the town charter, and I couldn't make heads or tails of it. So I'd asked the chairman to go and get an opinion from town council. So what I'd like to do is read their opinion, give you my comments on it, and my suggestion, and hear what the rest of the board has to say. And it won't take very long. But let me read the whole thing and make my comments before people start jumping out of their seat. This is what town council said regarding what we have to do in terms of reorganizing after an election. I have reviewed both the charter and bylaw provisions pertaining to the Board of Selectmen and have found no specific requirement for board reorganization. While the open meeting law clearly requires a chair for any public body, in order for that body to properly function, and the next part I'll address in the end, but it's important that we hear this, the actual organization of a public body is left to local determination unless otherwise provided. While Section 10-4-1 of the Town Charter does use the term shall when referencing annual organization of all boards, committees, and commissions, in my opinion, the case law cited below addressing the use of the term does govern in this instance. And he gives us two court cases, and I'll give them both to you right now. The Barry decision held that a word of command such as shall that may appear imperative in phrase, prescribing the time or manner of performance by a public or corporate officer of an act not intended for the benefit of a person, is ordinarily construed as merely directory provision for the orderly conduct of business, and compliance with it is not a condition of the validity of the act, and he cites 315 Mass at 578. Similarly, another case, in Kiss versus the Board of Appeals in Long Meadow, 371 Mass, 147, 157, and this was done in 1976, the court reiterated that where shall appears in a charter or statute or bylaw directed towards the time of performance of public officials, that is only a regulation for the orderly and convenient purpose of the public business. Therefore, in my opinion, the statute does not mandate action and reorganization at this time. I want to go back, though, to that paragraph I said I would read. The actual organization of a public body is left to local determination unless otherwise provided. So while it's not mandatory, I think the people sitting up here tonight do have the option to reorganize. And it would be my recommendation, for a number of reasons, that we do reorganize tonight and try to put everything behind us and go forward with who was elected as chairman and vice chairman. We need to knock off the tension that we've had over the last 3 months. And whoever's elected, we support them, and that we have mutual respect both ways. So I would like to hear what the rest of the board feels in terms of reorganizing tonight, and if we want to take that route. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Comment? Yes.
I agree. I mean, obviously I had asked at the last meeting for us to revisit reorganization because the last time we attempted, we only had 4 members, so we couldn't come to an agreement. So
Okay.
I agree with you that we need to go down the avenue of reorganizing.
Sure, Cheryl.
Thank you. I have a quick, so are you saying, this is kind of funny, Selectman LeBlanc, are you?
Talking to herself.
So are you saying that you are in favor of
Yeah.
reorganizing?
Yes.
Okay. I have a question, if you don't, on a kind of a side note. When you reached out to council, did they provide?
I reached out through Dennis, and I asked Dennis to contact town council and to find out, my question was very specific. Is it mandatory that we reorganize?
Okay.
And I read you their response, that it's not mandatory, but we do have the right to do it.
Was this KP law? KP Law.
Yeah, I
Got
said
it.
town council, so.
Okay, well, we have a couple, so I just wanted to make sure, so, okay. I agree, I'm in agreement, I think that we should consider reorganizing, yes. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, that's the reason why I put it on the agenda, and so with that, let's reorganize. First seat is the chairman, so I'd entertain a motion for a chairman. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to nominate the current vice chair as board chairman, Megan Troiano.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion to have Megan Triano as our chairman and a second, so I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
No.
And I'll vote no. That's 3 negative, 2 positive. Do I have another nomination for chairman?
I make a motion that we nominate Mike as our new chairman.
All right, do I have a second?
hold on,
Then I'll second that one.
okay.
Any other questions? All right,
Just discussion, respectfully, Mike, I want you to know that it's got nothing against you, but I feel that your current commitment to the fire department and also, the military makes it sometimes difficult for you to be at meetings. And I feel that we need to have a present chair. So I personally can't vote in favor of it.
any other comments? I'll call for a vote.
No.
No,
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 3 in affirmative. Mike is new chairman. So with that, Mike, you handle the rest of the reorganization.
Very disappointed in our current selectmen.
okay.
First off, before we continue, I'd just like to say thank you for the votes. The fire department and military, I have little control over. Fire department, I have time, and I will make every effort possible to be here for all of our meetings. With that being said, moving on for vice chair. Any nominations for vice chair?
I make a motion to retain, Vice Chairman Troiano as vice chair. Thank you.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for
Vice chair.
Vice Chair Triano. Any discussion? And we'll take a vote.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
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 Really?
It's 2 in affirmative, 3 no's.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we nominate Cheryl as our vice chairman.
I'll second that.
We have a motion for Selectwoman LeBlanc for Vice Chair, and it's seconded. Any discussion? We'll take a vote.
Yes.
Point of order,
I think,
there's two selectmen
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Selectwoman
My
LeBlanc.
cousin
He said
Cheryl.
select. Yeah, right.
Selectwoman LeBlanc.
Mrs. Selectman LeBlanc, it's still Selectman, not Selectman.
Good point, Terry. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not nominating myself. Would be Selectwoman Cheryl LeBlanc.
Okay.
So
Where are we, Mike?
I voted yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna abstain.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That's 4 yeses, 1 abstention. Selectwoman LeBlanc is vice chair.
You sure you didn't mean select? No, okay.
It's Selectman, would be Mrs. Selectman.
Okay, okay. Thank you, I appreciate that. Thank you. Do you want to, shall we move chairs now?
Yeah.
Let's move on down.
Very, very disappointed.
Excuse me.
What? No.
Oh my gosh, okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving
You're
on
fine.
to secretary. Nominations for secretary. I'll make motion for Selectman Norm LeBlanc for secretary.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes?
I'll vote yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 5 in affirmative. Selectman Norman LeBlanc is secretary.
I'll take your seat. I'll just-
I think we all just moved up a seat.
There you go. Couple of name tags. That's Norman.
Wait, just go with the signs.
There we go.
I just like to say whoever got us the new signs.
You got
they're-
yours.
They're not paper.
You got yours?
Yes, they're
Yeah,
not paper.
they're
We
not
thought
paper
we'd
this time.
upgrade. One of those
We're
small.
moving up in the world.
Small details.
Yes.
You call this moving up, I call this moving down.
Well,
We're done with reorganizing the board. We're gonna move on. Next item on the agenda is vote to approve and sign special town election warrant. The election date is scheduled for January 4th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And before we discuss any further with that, I would appreciate it if we maintain order in the audience, please.
You asking me to leave, is that what you're telling me?
I'm not asking you to leave. I'm asking you to maintain order.
is Michelle here?
No, Mr. Chairman, our town clerk is not here this evening. If she is, I'm not aware of it. But she has included for the warrant for January 4th for the special election to be held from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. There's nothing other than announcing that to all of the various precincts, and so that you would be voting to approve the date and to sign the election warrant. So those are two things.
Pleasure of the board.
I would make a motion to vote and approve, to vote to approve and sign the special town election warrant, which is scheduled for January 4th, 2022, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
You have to second it.
I do?
Yeah,
I'll second it. wouldn't-
someone does,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
if I may. Just for the public's sake, because I did ask this question the last time, this election must be held regardless of snow, sleet, rain.
Oh,
Absolutely. So, just to let everyone know, we have to have this election on this particular day. Okay.
Okay. We have a motion and seconded to approve the special town election for January 4th from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
And I'll vote yes.
And I'll vote yes. That's 5 in affirmative. The next item on the agenda is the senior tax write-off program, and I believe we have a presentation for that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, you have approaching the table before you our assessor, Chris Pupka, as well as our treasurer collector, Jillian Connor. Both of these individuals, along with our assistant town manager, has undertaken the whole senior tax work-off program and had come up with some changes that I hope will actually reach more seniors to be able to take advantage of a work-off program. So with that, I'll let them explain what they have come up with.
Yeah, no presentation tonight. I believe you have the worksheet in front of you, so. So the purpose of the work-off program is to just to assist the senior citizens with the tax bill, tax burden. It's another way we can, offer some relief where we can. The program is basically for seniors 60 and above. who own and occupy their houses in Oxford. They can earn up to $1,500 a year. We're going with the state minimum wage of $14.25 an hour, so it comes out to 105 hours of work. So full-time, 2.5 weeks roughly, if they were to work the full amount. If you don't work the full amount, you don't have to work the full amount, so you would just get the portion that you worked off of your bill. So if you only worked 50 hours, you would just get that roughly half the amount off of your bill. The program runs on the calendar year, so it's going to be January 1st, and it's through November 15th, because it has to go on to the tax bill comes out in December, so that's why that end date is not the full calendar year. Other highlights, that it's exempt from state taxes. It's a state tax program, but it's not exempt from federal withholding. So there is some withholdings from the taxes. So people should be aware that, you know, there is a tax impact for the federal government if they're going to participate in the program. Excuse me. This does not affect a taxpayer's exemption, so if they qualify for a veteran's exemption or a Clause 41C senior exemption, this does not impact that, so they can get this in addition to that. It could possibly affect their state circuit breaker taxes, so again, you know, there may be impacts to your state and or federal filing with this. We talked about basically 60 years of age. It's not, unlike exemptions, it's not a qualification date where you have to be 60 as of a certain date. You have to be 60 to start working. So if you turn 60 in the middle of the year, now you qualify, so long as you own and occupy your property. For fiscal year 2022, we have a maximum of 13 positions that we're going to hire. We don't exactly know what they are yet. Once the program's up and running, department heads will make requests. We'll match with hopefully applicants that are capable of doing the work, and we'll fill the positions. Probably different, you know, clerical work, things like that, depending on what that department's needs are, and obviously the skill set and capabilities of the person filling the position. So, you know, we'll be working back and forth and making sure that it is a fit for whoever is coming into work. And really, you know, applications would run through the website, or since we're talking about a demographic that my parents aren't the best with computers, would probably be able to come into the town manager's office and get an application themselves. So with that, I would gladly answer any questions from the board.
First of all, thank you for bringing this back, and thank you to the assistant town manager for bringing it back as well. I think there's a lot of interest in this, you know, certainly, especially for that demographic. And I appreciate the challenge of that they might have online. So I appreciate that. I just have a couple questions. When you say it might have, in fact, circuit breaker, does that mean our circuit breaker as a town, or
No, the individuals.
The individual, okay.
Yes.
All right, got it. So, and then, just out of curiosity, will this be limited to just like the town hall, or will there be opportunities within the schools as well?
It can be any department, so it can be the school department, and can be the dog kennel, can be the highway department.
Oh, okay.
One restriction is it can't be Bay Path, because
Gotcha.
Bay Path doesn't tax directly, so there's nothing to credit against. So it has to be, so it could be the Oxford Public Schools,
Okay,
or any other entity within Oxford.
that makes sense. Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm all set, thanks.
Any others?
Mr. Chairman, can I just add, one of the reasons we wanted to do this was we recognize that despite having the program since 2017, very few people had actually taken advantage of it. And we figured if we revamped it, brought new life to it, really talked to different departments to see where their needs are, kind of cultivate some positional descriptions that people could identify with, maybe we'd get more people who would be interested, because not everybody wants to do clerical work, right? You know, some people have other gifts, even in their retirement, you know, that we'd like to tap into. So that was another goal, to do this and to bring some fresh perspective to that.
Understand.
And also, just like to make a recommendation that, if this gets approved tonight, just working with the senior center for getting the information out there, along with maybe even the American Legion or VFW to get the information out
Yeah,
there,
we-
help
we-
with the applications, just so we have the greatest outreach.
Yeah, the assistant town manager has already done one well-attended session at the senior center. I was there and answered some questions for taxpayers. And for the veterans exemptions, I'm actually working with the veterans agent to try and get some outreach on some other things into the VFWs, because he's going into there. So it's certainly something that we want to work with him on that outreach for veterans for other reasons, but this would dovetail nicely in with that, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
I see the hands, and we don't currently allow open discussion unless it's a public hearing. So it's something that we can talk about afterwards.
I just wanted to know how many hours it was, I didn't hear them.
Oh,
The hearing aid.
Yeah, yeah. So it's 105 volunteer hours at a rate of $14.25 per hour. And then any additional information, you can go to the assistant town manager for additional information. I think I said that twice.
That's okay. I do have one other thing that the board should know, that this year we have funded it at 13 positions. This is obviously an important interaction that I have with the assessor to incorporate into our annual budget. So that's what we'll always be looking to see, is what can we actually afford to do and how can we do it? And I think, you know, working cooperatively with our assessor, this last budget cycle, we talked about how we want to actually go forward with this minimum within our budgetary capacity for that particular department and for our treasure collector's department. So I appreciate their cooperation and being able to help make sure that we have the ability to do that for that number of positions.
We stopped in 2017 because there was a lack of interest, or there wasn't a financial constraint?
I wouldn't say we totally stopped. I think there was very little participation. And there wasn't a great deal of organization behind how to actually become somebody who is a participant of the program. And it was confusing even for the departments on how they would reconcile the paperwork. So it was a lot of procedural streamlining, as well as looking at what was actually essential and what was not. And also trying to get, you know, a better, firmer understanding so that when someone was interested in the program, it was very self-explanatory. These are the things you need to do. These are the kinds of requirements that are going to go to each one of these departments. And this is how it's going to look when you are a participant of the program. Okay.
Any other discussion? Thank you for doing all the legwork and bringing this back.
Yep, I think we just need to, you know, basically approve the guidelines as set forth.
We'll make a motion.
Yes, please.
I move that the board votes to approve the senior tax write-off program as presented this evening.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the senior tax write-off program as presented. Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
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 And I'll vote yes. That's 5 in the affirmative. Yes. Next item is
Thanks,
the
Chris.
town manager's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item on the manager's report is to announce that our Director of Planning and Economic Development, Tony Sousa, and I have been working for, I would say, over a year in applying to the Massachusetts Biotech Council to be designated as a bio-ready community. And from the biotech zone science parks to streamlined permitting to robust infrastructure and pre-permitted biotech sites, Massachusetts has created a directory. It's okay, don't worry about it. It's created a directory for companies looking to relocate to do biotech-related business here. The council's developed a bio-ready rating system for municipalities to help them be able to attract biotech companies and for the biotech companies to find the most favorable destinations in the state. So if you look in your packets, you'll see, I put a map in, and I apologize because our television wire is a loose connection. We're having difficulties. But within your packets, members of the board, you'll see that Massachusetts currently has only 84, and will be the 85th, bio-ready communities across the state. And I'm pleased to note that it is being acknowledged from the Biotech Council that they would be giving us what they call a silver community status for biotech businesses. And since really this is a celebration of sorts of the season, I really wanted to share this positive news because I'm going to have Director Sousa come before the board and talk about why our concept was to try to get this kind of distinction. If you look under the silver category, you will see actually a handful. It's a 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 towns. So we would be the 12th town. Being able to get that status. And in that status, the municipality allows basically biotech laboratory and manufacturing uses by right. It identifies buildings or land sites for biotechnology uses in municipal plans. It also has another feature where the municipality convenes site plan review meetings, bringing together all pertinent departments. That's called our tech review. Not every community has that, but to provide an overview to local approvals, and also can have land sites and/or buildings included in the inventory. There's some other parameters that we may or may not fit, but this is great news for us because it puts us on a map for prospective businesses. And when the director was looking at our zoning bylaws, he did actually go back to see how it congealed and actually put together a great proposal to the Biotech Council. I think one of the reasons it took so long is the Biotech Council just went through a major change in their leadership at the president level, and they have a new president that just came on board, and hence we finally found out. So again, it's another part of our strategic planning and economic development that we've been doing. The next item is the Community Compact IT Grant. Since we're talking about celebrating the season, at a previous meeting I had mentioned that the police department had submitted a Community Compact Information Technology Program grant. We had received word on December 1st that the town will be indeed receiving $47,588 for our grant proposal, which was designed to support our new dispatch IT capabilities. In 2018, this town was a recipient when I came in and worked with our former IT department for a new VoIP phone system, as well as to work for new assessor software. We were awarded a grant that year, and you can apply every other year. Last year, I had applied for a IT grant related to our electronic sign message board. We did not receive that. I encouraged the chief this year, after conferring with him, that we should put in a proposal, and with our finance director, we thought this would be the best use for money this year for our capital planning going forward. And so this proposal will fund and enhance our computer automated dispatch capabilities for our police, fire, and EMS. And the software will automatically update and be more user-friendly. And once in place, the software will allow our dispatchers to address the critical incident calls with more accuracy and proficiency. This comes on the heels of having gotten approval for our capital plan this past year, which was to replace our consoles. And I see our chairman of the Finance Committee is here. I think he'll be really pleased to know that on top of that, $140 approximate $1,000, we're now receiving almost $50,000 to put the whole deal together, which will be approximately a $200,000 investment into the hardware and software. I just want to give a big shout out to our police chief for working with my office on this, and working with our director for finance. But it's excellent news once again. Talking about Town Hall Electronic Communications Board not receiving a grant the previous year. On that front, out of the Community Compact Grant, we were able this past year to include the Town Hall Communications Board as part of our capital planning initiatives, and we had funded that initiative through Town Hall to the tune of about $45,000. At that time, I had also applied for another state grant related to CARES funding, and we were approved for the electronic components, which were the most expensive pieces, I think. And as you can see, you were asking me about a status update on our new beautiful sign. They had poured I put this on Friday, they had poured the pylons with concrete, and we were expecting hookups, and I had to do whiplash on early Monday morning as I was driving by because the sign was there at like 8:30 in the morning, so they went very fast. And if you go by tonight and you haven't noticed it, please do. It is meant to really enhance our communications with the public, and it's very exciting to see this come to a reality. And it didn't happen yesterday. It's been on our docket as part of the capital plan, and obviously it's been very well supported by this board, and I appreciate that. And we hope to get, better information shared with the community, and just so everybody knows, I've gotten a lot of compliments about the design and how well it looks. There was a lot of thought that went into that. We also conferred with our Historic Commission Chair, who had approved the design. The steepness of the gable of the roof is to reflect what we have for steepness on this 1800s building. Obviously, the fleur-de-lis with the Huguenot history in town was important, and as well as the wrought iron, which is also reflective of what we have when you come up the front steps with the wrought iron for our military installment that is right in the vestibule. So all fronts, I mean, it is still modern technology, and we have to go with that, but I think all in all, people will be happy to finally see something. And I know I want to give this recognition to Kenny Donnelly, who has been working with us for years in putting up messages on that board in sleet and snow and rain, hand letters that don't always match, that looked like they were from the 1930s and 40s. It wasn't always an easy task to do, particularly in the elements, and I want to thank him for doing that. It will not going to replace him because he's still here with us, but it is something else we can have him do other than that. So I want to thank him for all his tireless efforts through the years in keeping the public as informed and as concise as possible, because oftentimes we didn't have enough letters to fit on the board to give good messages. The next item is just to alert the board that there is a planning board hearing coming up on a large proposal for a major new business development on the property of the borders of Interstate 395, Depot Road, Millbury Road. It's being proposed by Oxford Land Ventures LLC and is referred to as the Oxford Logistics Center. And on January 10th, 2022, it's right around the corner, change of the year, at 7:05, the planning board will hold its hearing to consider a special permit application and site plan review concerning that proposal, which at the moment is being proposed to construct a 345,375 square foot facility. The next item, and I apologize for not being able to have an audio-visual this evening, but last week the governor had signed the $4 billion COVID recovery bill, which includes a $50,000 amendment to the town of Oxford, which was filed by Joe McKenna. So he had filed it in the House version, and it did last through the negotiation process between House Ways and Means and the House and Senate. I want to say thank you to him because it was his idea to help replace our roof at the North Fire Station. And I did tell him that he's welcome to come to a future meeting so he can announce that, but I wanted to let the board know that when a bill like that gets passed, we want to make sure that whatever amount of funding is going to be in there all the way to the end, and it is. But having spoken about COVID-19, once again, in your packets you were going to see I did put in the current trends related to our overall incidents in town. And as you can see, for the month of November, our overall case count comparison to last year, we were at 148 for the month of November this year, and last year we were at 106. So our overall case count is substantially higher, which we expect to continue to go higher since the Thanksgiving break. We had a small decrease right before Thanksgiving, down to a weekly case count from 37 to 32, but I expect that the next round of numbers will show higher. Once again, I think we are going to continue to maintain vigilance, and we ask people to really seriously consider getting their booster shots, and also making sure that you are maintaining your social distancing and wear masks when you feel you need to do that in close proximity of people. The next item is just to report about our tree lighting and holiday parade. I know at that last meeting, we talked about the annual tree lighting coming up, and that there had been a new proposal to do a holiday parade of lights in advance of the tree lighting. We had a record turnout for both these events. Our Community Center Director, Shelley Lambert, did a terrific job bringing in community participation from our Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, and high school band volunteers to make the tree lighting not only on the bandstand but across the common very festive, and the parade of lights was really incredible. I will say I didn't know quite what we were going to anticipate to see. I know that it was, one of those things about trying to start a new tradition, but Mr. and Mrs. Claus arrived a very colorful way to the bandstand. Nobody was disappointed by that, with at least 25 vehicles participating and families gathered along the entire parade route from the North Station to the Jocelyn Common. So much, though, that Chief Zad said to me that he had not seen crowds like that as he was coming up the street since the 300th anniversary. So for some reason, this really resonated, and I think, I don't think it was just because everybody has been pent up with COVID over the years. I do think that the kids really looked at this as something that was very bright for them. But it wasn't just the fire department, but I will give my hats off to the Chief McDonald, but also Deputy Chief Belanger, and for pulling it all together, because they worked on it together prior to even announcing it to the public. And I know already they're planning for next year. And I will tell you that if you didn't get a chance to see the DPW's entry, and I had a picture of it here. Oh my God, I'm so disappointed not to show you. They did this whole Grinch mobile with the Christmas tree going into the wood chipper. In all, I can't even count how many of the participants of the DPW really put a lot of lights onto their vehicles, and we had members who were the Grinch, who were Buddy the Elf, Cindy Lou Who, and they came on the common and they entertained the children the whole time. So it was really just a wonderful event, and the weather was terrific. So I want to thank you to everyone who pulled that together, because bringing more events downtown is part of our master plan, and I mean that sincerely. So when we all pull together to do that, and people come down as a sense of community, it's great. And even if it means it's something different. So I want to say thank you. And that would conclude my manager's report for tonight.
Thank you. Selectmen's community announcements.
I have, I saw right before I came here, there was a posting online that the Sacarapa Bridge is now open. And I just wanted to take a moment and publicly thank not only the DPW who was involved with that, but also the town manager, and also the DPW director, Jared Duval. This has been a very frustrating project to get it going and get it done, and it's been lingering around our to-do list for many, many years, even well before the town manager got here. So I just wanted to publicly say thank you for doing what you did to move that project forward. Thank you to Jared, thank you to the DPW, and hopefully the people who have not had access in that down Sacarapa Road for a long time will know what to do when they leave their driveways and are able to actually take a shorter way out of there. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm glad that that's done, and that was a great great item for the holidays. So thank you. And that's it.
Jim, when is the informational meeting that Jared's going to put on for the roads?
I had
Isn't it coming up?
I think it's the 16th.
Yeah, it's the
at,
16th.
I think it's at 6 p.m., not 7
At
p.m.
the senior center, right?
Yeah, it's not. It's at the high school auditorium. It's at 6 PM. Boy,
I
I
would
got
have been
good
at the
memory
senior
there. Yeah, it's at, we wanted to make sure we had a venue that would be accommodating, along with, some comfort level. So he decided that he wanted to have it there. And again, this is for informational purposes, so people could be informed about the overall pavement management system, as well as what the borrowing details would be.
I think it's important that we all attend to get the facts. And I think people whose roads are gonna be done might look at it a little differently than those of us whose roads aren't gonna be done. But if you wanna get all the information, you'll be able to figure out what your cost is, and we'll be able to make an educated decision. So I would encourage everybody to go. I think he's given 2 presentations already, and takes about 30 minutes, so if you haven't heard it, I would encourage you to go. Thank you, Jen. That's all I have.
Is it my turn?
Yes, sorry.
I also wanted to thank the DPW. I saw the post about Sakurappa. So I wanted to say thank you to the DPW for getting that open. And then I also wanted to give a big thank you to the police department. Today, the lights at 20 and 56 were out during morning rush hour traffic. And they were standing in the middle of the intersection directing traffic through. And I'm sorry, but you could not pay me enough to stand in the middle of that intersection during rush hour traffic. But it went smoothly. There was no backups. They did a really great job at directing traffic through. So I just wanted to tip my hat to them for continuing on their job well done and keeping the roads safe. And that's all I have.
The only thing I have is I just wanted to commend the town manager and anybody else that was involved with the design of that sign. I think it looks great, and it's so nice to be able to see various messages, not just one message there for a week or 2 weeks or whatever. I mean, you've got Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and then you got the forum up there, so that's
And
very,
Rocky
very
Hill
nice.
Road is closing on the 11th. That's up there, too.
Very good. So I just wanted to say it looks great. Thank you. That's all I have, Jim.
I don't have anything this evening. The last item on the agenda is to enter into an executive session per Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 21A2. We'll take a vote to enter into the executive session to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, i.e. the town manager. We will only come out of executive session for the purpose of adjournment. I will take a motion.
I move that the Board of Selectmen goes into executive session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, and only comes up for the purposes of adjournment.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I'll take a, yeah, a roll
Yes.
call vote.
Yeah, yes.
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 And I'll vote yes.
I'll vote yes as well. That's 5 in the affirmative. We'll be entering into executive session.